Hello, I'm coming to you once again from my office in the Rayburn House office building across from the Capitol in Washington, D.C. I'm coming to you at this time to express some concerns about some things that I read in a column in today's Hill newspaper by Dick Morris. And one of the things that he mentioned in there was that President Clinton issued 140 pardons on his final day in office. And Mr. Morris wrote, quote, some of those pardoned had paid family members of the Clintons for help in securing the pardons. Others were generous donors to the Clinton Library. Actually, I had become concerned about that issue several years ago when I read that President Clinton issued a pardon on his last day of office to a man named Mark Rich, who had fled the country to evade $40 million in federal income taxes. I thought that was terrible to issue a pardon to somebody that had done that large of a crime in the first place. But then it became even worse when I found out that the pardon was issued after Mark Rich's ex-wife, with whom he still had a close relationship, had contributed $400,000 to the Clinton Library. Later on, I saw that some foreign countries had been contributing to President Clinton's presidential library. And actually, I put in a bill that the House has passed 3 times. Unfortunately, the Senate has not passed it, to require disclosure of contributions to presidential libraries. There is no law on that right now, and I think there should be full and open disclosure. I think all that should be transparent anytime there are contributions to presidential libraries, because obviously people are foreign countries are wanting to buy influence. But certainly the Clintons have taken it to an unprecedented level. In the Washington Post a few months ago, columnist Richard Cohen wrote that former President Clinton made $104 million just for speeches between 2001 and 2012. He made $700,000 for one speech in New Jersey. He didn't, Mr. Cohen in that column didn't have the latest up-to-date figures. He only had it through 2012. But I'm sure the figures for 2013 and 14 are astounding also. And Mr. Cohen's column was entitled "Post-Presidency for Sale." I guess surprising thing is that Richard Cohen is a very liberal columnist who has always been extremely supportive of the Clintons. But he wrote this about all the money that the Clintons are taking in from the presidency, and especially about former President Clinton. Mr. Cohen wrote, quote, "He has become a very wealthy man, and I suppose I should say more power to him, but while the numbers are astonishing, they are also troubling." He said, Mr. Cohen said, "Someone is buying and someone is selling. The question is what?" And well, the title of the column says it's the presidency for sale. No former president has ever come close to enriching himself anywhere close to as much as former President Clinton and his family have. They have 2 different foundations set up, and I think one has over $2 billion in it. The country of Sweden contributed $26 million to one of the Clinton foundations while they were lobbying Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for special privileges with the U.S. government. In addition, Mr. Morris's column that's in today's Hill newspaper, he said former President Clinton signed a plea deal with the special prosecutor in which he admitted that he gave misleading testimony in the 1998 Paula Jones case about his affair with Monica Lewinsky, and President Clinton agreed to or accepted a 5-year suspension of his Arkansas law license. In exchange, the prosecutor Robert Ray agreed not to indict President Clinton on perjury charges, and former President Clinton, eventually paid, in addition, a $1 million fine. In addition to that, President Clinton left the White House carrying $190,000 worth of gifts that the first family had received while in office. They had to return $114,000 worth of those gifts. Then, of course, Hillary Clinton signed an $8 million book deal in the period after she was elected as senator from New York in November of 2000, and before she entered the Senate 2 months later. This deal wasn't announced until after she was safely elected, and before she was sworn into the Senate, so she would be bound by the Senate rules prohibiting exorbitant book advances for its members. So I just express some of these concerns because I think we need to put some restrictions or limitations on what these former presidents can receive or what they can do after they leave office. I read someplace that Chelsea Clinton is already worth, I think it was had a net worth of $26 million, and obviously people who have done things because of the influence of the former president and his family, influence peddling that's gone far above and beyond anything that we've ever seen in this country before, and has reached now through the foundations and in other ways up into the billions of dollars. So I hope that we can get future presidents, be they Republican or Democrat, to agree to some sort of limitations so they don't become multi-billionaires after they leave office. Thank you.